Okay, hey guys. Okay, this is Chantel, your therapist, and today we're gonna touch on two topics. We're gonna talk about the stages of change because I want you guys to start thinking about what stage of change you're in. So I'm gonna go over each one. It's 5 stages, kind of like a 6th one because we have the relapse. The stages of change, and then we're gonna go over Socratic questioning, which is a form of challenging our thoughts, and that comes from CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. All right. So first, let's discuss Socratic questioning. Okay. Let me see if I can share this screen over here so you guys can see. 1 second. Okay. So you might see my head move from like one direction to another because my screen, I have 3 screens. This is the front. I got one over to here, one over to here. All right. So Socratic question. So, okay. So this is how it works. Remember with CBT, we talk about the cognitive triangle. And the cognitive triangle, this is a triangle. See how my fingers are? The top is your thoughts, and you have your feelings on one side and then behavior on the other side. Last week, we discussed feelings. We focused more on feelings and identifying what feeling you're feeling. That's half the battle. Like we talked about your primary feelings, which are the basic ones. And then we also talked about the secondary feelings, which are the feelings that really get us in trouble. Those are the ones we typically don't explore. We normally stop with the primary feelings, and then we just go with that. Okay, so we went into that. So that was one portion of CBT. This is the second portion, which is your thought process. Okay, so when we have certain thoughts, a lot of times when we are anxious or we're stressed out, they're negative thoughts. Even if we're not aware that we are negatively thinking about something, we are in the subconscious, okay? It's our natural instinct to like go towards the negative. And I think it's because, I don't know, I think it's because we're critical of ourselves, you know? We're harsher on ourselves. So when we have these negative thoughts, which we call cognitive distortions, and it's several different types of cognitive distortion. And I'll send y'all a video on that later, but all or nothing thinking is one, black or white thinking it's either this way or it's that way, it's different kind of cognitive distortions that we have. When we have these automatic negative thoughts and cognitive distortions, we have to find a way to go from that emotional negative state into a more calm, rational state. Okay. And that's where Socratic questioning comes in. Okay. Because whatever automatic thoughts, so those are coming from our emotions and is normally taking a negative turn. So how do I get out of my emotional mind and go into a rational or logical mind? Okay, that concept has to do a little bit of dialectical behavior therapy. Okay, so how can I use both? Okay, I can identify my emotions, but once I identify how I feel and I got all these negative emotions, how can I rationalize it and make myself in a calmer state? Okay, so this worksheet over here with Socratic questions says thoughts are like a running dialogue in your brain. Okay, they come and they go so fast, in fact, that we rarely have time to question them. Because our thoughts determine how we feel and how we act, it's important to challenge any thoughts that cause us harm. So any thought that's negative, you got to challenge them. Okay, so you take a moment and you think about each of the following questions and record your response. Okay, and then elaborate and explain why or why not in your response. So as you're watching this video, think of a scenario that triggers you, something that recently happened to you, something that made you mad in the past, and you're still not over it. Okay, so just pause for a second, push pause for a few seconds, and just get whatever that scenario is in your mind. Think about how it made you feel, and then we get it, unpause it so we can go to the next step. Okay, so now you got the thing that triggered you in your mind. You got the scenario to make you mad, right? So the thought to be questioned, I want you to get a piece of paper or a notebook, and I want you to write down the thought. So if you have a situation that occurs, then I'll make up one. I'll make up one. Okay, so let's say, and I think I used this before, but I like using this one. The other day, I went into the gas station. I went to go get some gas, and then I went to get some snacks. So that's I basically pay for my gas inside because I want to get some snacks, right? So I bought some few little things, my Funyun rings, maybe a Mountain Dew, and then I go up to the cashier and I pay for my gas, and then I pay for the snacks. Okay, so I actually pay cash, and then when the cashier person give me my money back, they throw the money at me. I feel some kind of way about that. Okay. So I'm kind of like either annoyed with her, shocked, frustrated. Like, I'm feeling like, oh, what was that about? Right. So what am I thinking? What is my thought to be questioned? Okay. What is my thought to be questioned? That's like one scenario you could say. Or it could be a scenario with you where your mom asked you to do something. Maybe you didn't do it, and maybe you had plans in the afternoon, and then she said, because you didn't do that thing, you can't go wherever the plans that you had later. You know what I'm saying? So you feel some kind of way about that. How do you feel? You know what I'm saying? Identify the feeling first, okay? Now, when you have a feeling, there's a thought that accompanies that. So you might feel a certain way, and then how you interpret the situation. So going back to my scenario with the gas station and the lady throwing the change at me. Okay, so my thought would be, dang, she must be having a bad day. Why did she throw that money at me? Okay. That's how I would question that. Now you do yours. What's your thought to be questioned based on the scenario in your mind of a situation that triggered you, whether it's real or not? Okay. How would you interpret the situation? That's the thought to be questioned. So I'm like, so my thing is, I wonder why she threw that change at me. Did she got a problem with me? Do I know this one? You know what I'm saying? Did I say something or do something? What's going on? So it's more than one. So basically, wonder why she threw that change at me. That's my thought to be questioned. Okay. Maybe is she mad at me? Is she frustrated by something else that's going on? Right. So I'm wondering, is this woman mad at me? So the next question you could say is, what is the evidence of this thought? Well, the woman did throw the change at me. So the evidence is, I definitely know she's mad. I don't know who she's upset with because she threw the money at me. So that's a real thing. Okay. Next question. Am I basing my thought on facts or feelings? All right. So it is based on how I feel, but it's also based on what actually happened. So what actually happened was she threw the money at me, and then and I feel some kind of way about it. It makes me angry, or it makes me like shocked. Okay. Is this thought black or white, or is it thought black or white when reality is more complicated? Okay, so is it black and white? No, it's not black and white, because it's a little bit more complicated, because I don't know this woman, and she's obviously upset with something. So maybe whatever she's upset with has nothing to do with me. Okay. Next question, could I be misinterpreting the evidence? Am I making any assumptions? Well, I am making a lot of assumptions, because I'm questioning in my mind why she threw the change. So all I got guesses that I can make. So I could be misinterpreting it, but what can I do in order to not make an assumption? Like, how can I interpret it differently? Maybe I can ask her, are you okay? And she's like, well, I mean, why? Because you just threw the change at me, and it's like, get real facts. And she might disclose that she was having a bad morning, and the customer that came in before her did such and such, and she's upset. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. So, other people might have a different interpretation as to why. So always ask yourself, am I looking at all the evidence? Is everything supporting this thought? And in this case, yeah, she really did throw the change at me, and I really am shocked by that. Okay. So that one's kind of straightforward, but let's go back to a different scenario. Let's say, something that you could be upset by. You mad at your mom because she didn't let you go out to do something. Okay. So you mad at your mom. That's what's going on. Okay. That's the thought. That's the thought that you question. I'm mad at my mom because she said I can go do such and such, and now she changed her mind. Is there evidence of this thought? Anything against this? Anything for it? Yeah, there might be some evidence. I feel like my mom never followed through with what she say. You know what I'm saying? One minute she okay, the next minute she not, depending on what type of day she has, is how she reflects things on me. Okay. Am I basing my thought on like facts, or am I basing my thoughts on feelings? Probably both, because it is true she won't let me go out. That's a fact. But how I'm feeling about it, I just feel like she's not fair. She's always back and forth. She's never like, she says she's gonna do something, but she don't follow through with it. Okay. Is this thought black or white? or is the reality more complicated? It might be more complicated because maybe your mom asked you to do something. Maybe she had like, if you could go out if you did such and such, if you washed the dishes or cleaned the kitchen. Maybe you didn't clean the kitchen. So you gotta look at your part in it. So it's a little bit more complicated than just my mom never let me do stuff. She never follows through. What part did I have in it? Oh, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So I didn't follow through. Okay. Could I be misinterpreting anything or making any assumptions about it? Sometimes when we are in our feelings, we might view the situation as more heightened because we're just upset that we can't get the thing that we want. But if we sit down and actually ask the questions and look at, my part in it, what I could have done better, or where things took a turn, it helps us to rationalize. So it's taking us out of that emotional state, okay? So most likely when you're in a heightened emotional state, when you're upset, so the negative heightened emotional state, you're almost 100% misinterpreting the situation or the evidence because you're not looking at it. You're in your feelings. You're not looking at, I don't know, ways to solve problems or different reasons why something could have happened, okay? So everybody have different interpretations of a situation, okay? But always look at the evidence, look at the facts, good or bad, your part in it, their part in it, and then like when you can look at the facts, good or bad, you can weigh, now I don't want to say the pros and cons, but you can look at it, you can see the situation in its entirety. Like you can see it from a broader perspective. If you can calm yourself down and just get to like basic questions, okay? Another question you can ask, am I having this thought a habit or do the facts support it? Is this what I do every time I get mad? I just kind of like think the worst about my mom, whatever. Or is it true? And my mom, does she don't follow through with stuff, or do I have a part in it? Most times, in most situations, when there's an argument, it takes two people. So most times it's not one-sided. Okay, most times. Okay, so you see what I mean? So let's say you're upset about something and you want to curse somebody out, or you want to get in an argument with them, and maybe you do it first, but you pull back. Okay, I'm frustrated. I'm not gonna keep engaging in this. Let me think about the situation in its entirety. Let me broaden my perspective, open my mind, maybe seeing it from the other person's perspective. Is it something that I didn't do that I should have did? Is it a different way that I could approach the situation that would have made the outcome different or better? Just start doing that. Is it, what can I do at this point to adjust my feelings about it? Or is there anything I can do? Maybe I just need to accept my feelings, okay? So it's like going through it, just kind of like processing through. Am I over generalizing? I'm like overreacting to the situation? Or is my emotions or how I feel about this justified? That's how you question. Like this is one way they got these questions here, but it's like just kind of like ask questions to bring yourself back down from your angered state or your frustrated state or your shocked state, just to make sure it is correct what you're thinking and what you're feeling. Okay, so I'm not saying suppress your feelings. I'm saying acknowledge how you feel. Go to your feelings. Well, pick the emotion that you're feeling. Okay, how else can I interpret the situation? What else is going on with me personally that I might be adding to, or making it worse? If I was in that person's shoes, how would I have handled the situation? Would I have responded the same way? You know what I'm saying? Like that, like start questioning yourself and write it down, because it helps get it out of your head and on paper. And then you're rationalizing. You're no longer in a heightened emotional state. You're accepting emotions, but you're not expressing emotions in a negative way that can affect you and affect the person in the long run. You see what I'm talking about? So you rationalize. So once you get to a calmer state and you're more rational in it, you can have a real conversation that's based on evidence or your logic. You know what I'm saying? You can be more objective with it. So going back to my original scenario where that lady really did throw the change at me and I felt some kind of way about it, that really happened. That's fact. But is a lot of other things, a lot of other factors that's unknown. You know what I'm saying? Those variables in that other person's life, that other person's situation, what could happen before, what could have happened that morning with her kids in the house, something could have happened with court. She could be going through some legal stuff. So one way I can deal with it, knowing that it's not really directed at me, once I calm down, I realize that's not directed at me. I mean, that was rude. She did do that to me, but it's not really directed at me. So I might just say, hey, okay, you threw that change at me. That shocked me. You okay? You know what I'm saying? You having a good day? And then she might start venting about something that's going on with her. And then I can offer like a listening ear. You know what I'm saying? I can be her therapist in a moment. We all can be each other's therapists. You know what I'm saying? Listening, just taking the time to not get all the way offended. Now, I'm not saying let people walk over you. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is if you're in a good mind space and you can like learn to get a good mind space, actually, you can learn to like calm your emotions down and question the thought that you have about a situation, then you can behave differently. Okay. And this is not something that is easy to do. Okay. You have to become a master of your emotions, which is a process. So it takes practice. So I say start with the smaller things and practice. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's our lesson on Socratic questioning, which is basically questioning your thought process to bring you back down to a less heightened state in a more rational mind. Okay, and when we think about cognitive behavior therapy, let me bring the CBT triangle up again. When we think about CBT, you got to remember it's 3 parts to the CBT situation. Okay, we have a situation that we're triggered by, okay? The situation that makes us upset, that heightens our emotions, so something that happens to us, and then we have thoughts about it, okay? The thoughts are interpretation of the situation. So, you know, what did I do wrong? Maybe maybe they're having a bad day. You know what I'm saying? You look at other possible solution as to why a person did or said or acted the way they did. So you try to like give them the benefit of the doubt, basically, right? So and then we have our emotions here, whereas our feelings and how we feel. Our initial might be the primary, happy, sad, angry, worried, but then there can be more in-depth feelings like the secondary emotions, frustrated, irritated, confused. And that's the stuff we have to like admit to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We don't ignore how it made us feel, but we may process it differently. Like, let me look at other reasons or ways or why this could have happened this way. And then when we do that, instead of having a negative behavior where our first instinct is to lash out or curse somebody out or fight somebody, you know what I'm saying? We can be more calculated in our next move. You understand? And that's practice. We can become masters of that, but that takes practice. All right. So we've today covered the situations of the thought process in the CBT triangle. Last week we did emotions, identifying how we feel. And then we also talked about radical acceptance of our emotions, not suppressing them, accepting them is what it is. You feel, if you're angry, admit it. I feel angry that that person threw the change at me. That's the truth. Okay, but why did they throw that change at me? Let me think about why. Let's go through that thought process. And then what I'm gonna do? Maybe I'm gonna ask them if they're having a bad day or are they okay? Is anything I help them with? You know what I'm saying? Instead of like lashing out and cursing them out, that behavior. And you know what I'm saying? That determines our behavior determines our destiny too. So that's why it's important. And I always say that everybody that comes into our life is a teacher. There's a lesson that we have to learn from them, something about ourselves. They come in, they challenge us, and how we respond, how we react, it determines like the next course of action for our life, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Instead, you know, yes, I'm heightening my emotion, I feel angry. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I want to fight that person. You know, what somebody threw a drink in your face. What's your thought process? You know, how you feeling about it? And what are you going to do? So when you think about behavior, which we'll cover next time, you got to think about consequences. Okay. Behavior, you got to think about, you know, if I did this, this situation would happen. If I do this situation would happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's like weighing your options of what to do by thinking about worst possible scenarios of what can happen, best possible scenarios, or what you're willing to accept. You know, I might fight that person that threw that drink in my face, and I'm willing to accept that I might go to jail. You know, so it's just like looking at the things. You know what I'm saying? All right, so that's that. So that's our lesson on Socratic questioning with the thought process. Okay. So Socratic questions kind of ask questions. It's really no specific questions. I pulled up that sheet and I really didn't like the way the questions were, but I added my own to it. And that's what you do. You just question, like, dang, did she have a bad day? Is something else going on with her? Did I like say something to offend them? You know what I'm saying? Did I do something wrong? You know what I'm saying? It's like that. Like that's your thought process. And then look at the evidence. She really did she threw that change at me. That happened, you know, but I don't know what led her to that. And then, okay, what am I gonna do about this? I'm gonna ask the girl, you having a good day? Is something wrong? Because you threw that change at me. And then it might give her an opportunity to vent, and then she might apologize in that venting process to you for how she act. You know what I'm saying? Or you might curse her out and walk out the store and knock down some little cakes that's in front of the store, some little candies, you know, and you might be frustrated. So you just add to that, to stress. Or you can be a change agent and kind of like change the situation around for the positive. You know what I'm saying? That will help you in terms of personal growth, and that will help that person in terms of brightening her day by offering her a listening ear. See, you see what I'm saying? That makes sense, right? All right. So now what I want to challenge you guys on is the stages of change. I want you guys to figure out what stage of change you are in terms of your growth. You know, we came here in the counseling for a reason. And what stage do you feel that you're in? Okay, let me pull this worksheet up real quick. Okay, and then this is what I want you to send to me. I want you to send to me the stage of change you think you're in and the reason why. This is your ticket out the door. Just give you credit for our session for today, okay? All right, so stages of change. We have the pre-contemplation stage, which is a stage that we're all in when we first start counseling, okay? So you have like a problem behavior. Could be drugs, could be anything, but let's just, in this scenario, saying it's drugs. You might not recognize what the problem really is. You might be in denial about it, or you're not really serious about change. You're not really sure if you really want to change your behavior. I'm in this counseling because my probation officer said I had to be in this counseling, but I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I smoke because that's what calms me down. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't smoke, I'd be in a worse situation. I'm just using an example for drugs, okay? Maybe in the past you made previous attempts to change, but since then you may be giving up. So that's pre-contemplation. You really don't see the need for change. I'm kind of thinking about it. I tried it before, it didn't work. You know, I'm not really recognizing my behavior. Could be not drug, could be a behavior. I'm not recognizing like that I got anger problems and how my behavior affects things. That's pre-contemplation. That's the stage you all were in. The next stage is contemplation. And that has to do with the individual experiencing ambivalence about change. That you might see a reason to change the behavior, but you're still very hesitant. So the problem behavior continues, whatever that is, whether it's continue to smoke weed, continue to like have anger outbursts, continue to talk smack, to get in fights at school. You know, I mean, you know, maybe I should change, but this is just who I am. People need to accept me. That's contemplation, okay? So the behavior, the negative behavior that's got you in this situation continues. Preparation phase. The individual has decided to change their behavior and they begin to think about how to do it. Okay. Remember, we just doing that whole little scenario where you learn how to process through things. You know, it's hard. It's hard. It's going to be hard for me to adjust to like not reacting to stuff the way I'm normally used to reacting to it. You know what I'm saying? We're creatures of habit, so that's normal. So during the preparation phase, you start to make minor changes. You're making minor changes to support your goal, but you haven't completely ended the unwanted behavior. So if you're smoking weed, maybe you used to do it 5 times a week, maybe doing it 3 times a week. So you're cutting down, you're doing less, okay? So you're still doing it, but you cutting down. So that's good. That's progress. Or maybe you still get angry and you might like curse somebody out, but maybe not fighting no more. So it's like it's calming down. Okay, so that's progress. That's like preparation. You see, like I'm trying to make these changes. It's hard though. The next stage is action. So significant steps are taken to the end of the problem behavior. The individual might avoid triggers, reaching out for help, and other steps to avoid temptation. So in this situation, action stage, if you're smoking weed, you completely stopped. I've stopped hanging around the people I hung around with that I smoke with, because when I see them and I see them smoking, I'm gonna want to smoke. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to even hang around. That's a clear-cut action that I'm changing right now. You know, if you go in a situation, you go into that store and that person threw threw that change at you, instead of like saying something, cursing them out, or fighting them, or messing up the store, I'm just gonna walk away. I might not have no nice words to say. I might not be in that space where I can like kind of ask them if they're having a good day after they insulted me, but I can just, okay, thank you, and walk away. You know what I'm saying? I don't got time to be getting all involved in this stuff, and I'm trying to get myself right. That's the action stage. The maintenance stage. Changes are made during the action stages are maintained. So maintaining what you do in your action stage, which is stage 4, and you continue, even when you continue to face challenges, because you will continue to face challenges, because that's how the universe works. It's going to test you. It's going to test you. You know what I'm saying? But you successfully change the behavior. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you changed your habits at this point. You rewired your brain. You rewire how you process, think about things. You know what I'm saying? You acknowledge your feelings now. You stop ignoring your feelings, stop suppressing, or you stop being too engulfed by your feelings where you're reacting from an emotional state. You can rationalize situation. You can see, if I do this, this might happen. You know what I'm saying? You can see a broader perspective. You can see the pros and cons of a choice that you might make. All right. So which stage of change are you in? Pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, or maintenance. Now, the last phase on here is relapse. So relapse is basically after making changes, some individuals return to a previous behavior, okay? And this can happen during any stage of change. It's not matter which one, but not everybody's going to experience relapse, but it's always a risk. So when that happens, you just get back on the boat, you get back on and you start again. So that's okay. That's just a part of it. Learning how to forgive yourself, acknowledging what it is. Okay, I slipped, and that's okay. But I'm about to get back on the boat because I know what I got to do. All right, so that's what I have for you. Text me the stage of change you think you're in and why. Give me an explanation as to why you think you're in that stage. All right. All right. Until next time. Bye.